So, Honorable Minister, we joined you in wishing the 148th happy birthday to Canada, and we hope and we wish you will be the Minister for Immigration when we celebrated the 150th birthday of Canada.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And happy birthday to Canada, to all of us who are citizens of this country, who are immigrants to this country. However we came to be connected, it is, I think, a prouder thing than ever to be Canadian because of what Canada represents and everything we're doing to make the country stronger. We as a government certainly are committed to strengthening the justice system, keeping the economy strong, showing it leadership on international issues. And I know that your listeners and viewers and readers are among our most successful and most committed citizens, and we're proud of everything that the Sri Lankan Tamil community has achieved in Canada and is achieving as I speak.
Thank you. And when we look into your actions, your laws and things like that, under the leadership Right Honourable Prime Minister Stephen Harper, I could notice it that you have a vision for this country, in the sense in multi-dimensional vision. One of them is that, you know, in around 20 or 30 years' time, the death rate is going to supersede the birth rate. So somehow Canada needs people from any part of the world. So your vision says that the right people who want to live in this country, who want to be part and parcel of that country, and who wants this as a transit launch is no more accepted. So your vision is people have to come not only by taking oath and saying I love this country or I am loyal to the country, practically you want them to be part of this Canadian family. That reflects on your law, which was considered, which was said as C-44 bill and things like that. So in this vision, what do you expect from the people, those who have already settled down in this country? For example, people in the States, they say, I am an American first, then come to the ethnic backgrounds and things like that. When it comes to Canada, that kind of feelings or that kind of patriotic food is not there. So I think you have realized that, and your entire aspects of the C-24 reflect on that. What do you say about that, Minister?
No, it's a very interesting question. I mean, we are, I think, more proud than ever as Canadians of our citizenship. You know, when I sit here in Ajax on July 1st or travel the country to citizenship ceremonies or other events, you can see the pride that people have from being Canadians, Canadian citizens, because that is something that brings us together. It is the framework of law under which we all live. It is, these are the institutions that give us a country, an education system, a healthcare system, a foreign policy, and so forth. And we're proud of all of them. We're also determined to make them even better together, because that's what citizens do. But we also are a country that has never demanded that people give up their heritage, their roots, the traditions that they brought to this country. We see that as our strength as well. Look at Canada's role in standing up to Putin in Ukraine. You know, this guy has invaded another country, lied about it, created great hardship in eastern Ukraine, brought sanctions against Russia and uncertainty to Europe. Why have we responded? Because Canadians who are of Ukrainian origin, while being incredibly proud Canadians, you know, Wayne Gretzky is one of these proud Ukrainian Canadians. It doesn't get any more Canadian than that. They remember what Ukraine is, and they remember Ukrainian language, and they remember the terrible history that Ukraine faced in the 20th century, a famine, and
Massacre.
Various massacres, right? From Holocaust to invading armies from both East and West in the Second World War, and then hardship in the Cold War. So we are strong against Putin in our foreign policy, partly because these Canadians have a deeper identity. And that identity is part of the Canadian. I mean, I meet Canadians of all backgrounds who are equally strong in wanting us to stand up to Putin because they know Ukrainians, Ukrainian Canadians, who, and they were brought up in school learning about this history, and it's part of the history of all of us. Similarly for Sri Lankan Tamils. You know, in the last 10 years, I think we have all come in Canada, as this wave of immigration has grown, to understand much more the history of Sri Lanka, the recent history of Sri Lanka, the history of those atrocities, that genocide, and it is a story that's still very much alive for Sri Lankan Tamils. Reconciliation has not taken place in spite of a lot of strong efforts to bring it about, and this is one of the issues that Canada addresses on principle, because we are because we don't insist that Sri Lankan Tamils leave behind their identity and their links to their homeland. So we do have a different model from the United States. It is a model of citizenship that is connected to the world, that is based on multiculturalism, that finds unity and strength in our diversity. But Canada has always been different in that respect, and I think in many ways our citizenship is the strongest or among the strongest in the world precisely because of that. You don't make people stronger by forcing them to forget or to stop being something. You make them stronger by adding to the identity they already have a set of principles that give us both opportunity and protection. And what speaks to that now more than ever? The strength of our immigration. Since 2006, we've had the highest immigration in Canadian history on a sustained basis, over 260,000 a year. Yes, it's mostly economic immigration, but with a strong family principle and a strong principle of humanitarian protection also informing it. And why do people want to come? Well, obviously because there's opportunity here, but also because citizenship is open to them. And there are no countries in the world of whom the same can be said. UNHCR just put out a report last week about refugees in the world. In 2014, something like 32,000 refugees around the world obtained new citizenships of 27 different countries. These are refugees that went to European countries, Asian countries. So 32,000 became new citizens, were naturalized in 27 different countries. Of those 32,000, 80% became Canadian citizens. I mean, that's a remarkable figure. There is no other country that both provides protection and then confers citizenship on the basis of rules and requirements on so many people of different backgrounds, including those who come from the most vulnerable populations in the world. That's what we do.
Yeah, you reminded me, the father of our nation said once, "I am proud to be a British citizen. I was born as a British citizen, I live as a British citizen." So I do appreciate the way that you are looking to the ethnic groups, how they have to maintain their traditional values while getting integrated with the mainstream. So that's a very happy news, and you made mention in a couple of meetings as well. Now the point is that, as you said, 63 or 62% of the total new immigrants are skilled workers. Now you have introduced the express entry. So you want to channel everybody to come through the express entry, or the skilled workers can directly apply? All those students who are here after completing their courses and get their diplomas or degrees, they can apply independently, or they have to go through the express entry?
Express entry is the new gateway to our economic immigration programs.
Okay.
It started on July 1st.
Yeah.
It's the only way in for new applicants to federal skilled worker, federal skilled trades, and Canadian experience class.
Okay.
It is faster than any previous system we have had. It is not a new program. It is a new system for delivering existing programs that we all know very well. Why is it faster? It's online.
Okay.
No paper applications.
Okay.
Processing is in 6 months or less. And you get an immediate result. As soon as you're in the pool, you find out how many points you have. You can see who was invited last week, at what point level, and you can see how far you have to go to reach the threshold to receive an invitation and be processed to come to Canada in fewer than 6 weeks. Now, some people will say, it's not working for me. You know, I have this number of points. The cutoff is that number of points. Express entry is working for Canada and working for our immigrants better than ever because it's selecting those who have the highest points. It is choosing those who will be invited to come to Canada on merit. Those with the education, the skills, and the language ability that Canada needs. And they are from all over the world. And they are from hundreds, literally, of different occupational backgrounds. But the only reliable way we have of selecting people is on merit, using the point system that has been at the core of our immigration for almost 50 years. And in the past, when we just processed every application we received, we couldn't compare these applications with that application. And so when we had a large number of applications, more than we had space for immigrants in 1 year, it created backlogs. Under Express Entry, we're continuously comparing the point scores of tens of thousands of people and inviting the best ones. And the number of invitations will go up in the course of this year and next year. We are getting lots of people who studied in Canada, lots of people with Canadian work experience, but we're also getting people from every part of the world. And I think the satisfaction so far is very high.
So people who are studying here, when they complete their courses, they have to go through the Express Entry, not directly applying it.
Correct. And the good news for them is that the Canadian experience class, which is the main program targeting people who studied here and then worked for a year or more, is accepting this year 23,000 immigrants. That's more than ever before. And this year, some will come through Express Entry, some will come through the old system because they submitted their applications last year.
I see. Okay.
But anyone applying today must go through Express Entry. But they should be very confident that we want them to be considered. We are recruiting people who have studied in Canada as immigrants on a larger scale than ever. Why? Because they have a Canadian credential, because they've proven themselves in the Canadian job market, and the results speak for themselves. They're excellent.
You wanted to clear the backlog in the family class, then backlog in this, skilled workers category, and you almost completed, I think around 17% is remaining. The family class, there was a problem this time. What happened is, you said there are 5,000 people the first 5,000 will be accepted. You know, the first or second of this new year came in Friday or something like that. Many people applied Friday by courier, but it reached on Monday, the Citizenship and Immigration Canada. Then some of the applications were sent back because it is more than 5,000.
This is the Parents and Grandparents Program. Had a backlog.
Okay.
We inherited this in 2006. We've been working to reduce it. In the last 3 years, this year and the 2 previous years, we will process over 70,000 parents and grandparents, more than ever. Still, we will have a backlog. And so that's why we've been limiting the number of new applications for several years. And this year we took 5,000. Still, we're processing 20,000 this year. And anyone who didn't get their application in and wants their parent or grandparent here quickly should look to the super visa. In addition to permanent immigration for parents and grandparents, which is stronger in Canada than anywhere in any other country, we have issued in only 3 years 50,000, less than 3 years, 50,000 super visas. And that allows a parent or grandparent to stay in Canada for 10 years or more, for 10 years, 2 years at a time, and the inviting family member pays the cost of the health insurance.
This news, is some kind of false information given in various medias, even in Sri Lanka and Europe. That means you want to send back to 140,000 naturalized citizens, and some of the landed immigrants are fearing to go back to their country and to come back. What is their destiny, please?
That report is absolute nonsense. Anyone who is disseminating such misinformation should hang their head in shame. We are proud of the contribution 140,000 plus Sri Lankans have made to this country, particularly Sri Lankan Tamils. They are permanent residents, many of them, even more are citizens. And there is nothing in recent legislation that would call their citizenship into doubt.
How about the landed immigrant? If there is any emergency, is it okay if they came as a refugee and just go back and come back? Or there is any new restrictions?
For a permanent resident who received Canada's protection either as a resettled refugee or as an asylum claimant, there should not be a need for them to go back to their country of origin. Those are the rules, and they're the same for everyone. Once we become a citizen, then we are free to travel wherever we wish. But the rules of governing protected persons in Canada, it just stands to reason. If you made an argument to the IRB or to the UNHCR that you were fleeing your country because your life was in danger, then normally we don't want you going back. And anyone who has a question about this should speak to the department, explain the situation before they travel. The only the changes that we've made to citizenship have been to speed up processing. We had 261,000 new citizens last year. I'm sure many of them Sri Lankan Tamils. We are changing the residency requirement. It's 4 years out of 6 now, to ensure that bond between the new citizen and Canada is strong. And then thirdly, we put in new provisions to revoke citizenship for a small number of people if and only when they are dual nationals convicted of terrorism, treason, or espionage. No, only terrorism, treason, and espionage. I heard in a previous media report someone saying that you could lose your citizenship for a speeding violation. That is not true. Never has been the case. Is not the case now. Never would be the case under a conservative government. What we are saying is that these very serious crimes, crimes of disloyalty to Canada and to the established order, are incompatible with Canadian citizenship. We all know that only a tiny number of Canadians are ever convicted of these things, but that's what makes our citizenship strong, because we protect it from being undermined by people who have these radical views, or who are prepared to do things that are literally betrayals of the trust Canada puts in them, as in the case of espionage.
If they are not a dual citizen, and if they commit a kind of crime seriously,
they will be here as Canadian citizens, probably in a Canadian jail. But they will not lose their citizenship.
The last question is that so far, a born Canadian will not be sent out whether he has got a dual citizen or single citizen. But according to a new law, if they make any kind of serious crime, he can be or she can be sent out, right?
Well, not any serious crime. It has to be one of these three crimes.
Okay.
But yes, if I, a Canadian-born citizen,
Okay.
became a dual national,
Okay.
in my case, my grandmother was born in Scotland, so I could become a British citizen. I could have become a British citizen. I am not.
Okay.
And then say I committed an act of terrorism and was convicted for that.
Okay.
Then I could have my Canadian citizenship revoked, yes, even though I'm born here.
Certain categories of serious crimes.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, he can remain in Canada but in jail.
Yeah. Well, in this,
Normal court will deal.
Court decision, yeah.
but in every case, it would require a conviction.
Mhm.
It would require dual nationality to be in place, and we would not remove the person from Canada unless it was safe to do so. If it was to a country in conflict or a country where there was likely to be where the person was likely to face persecution, then they would stay here, but without their Canadian citizenship. So the rules apply equally to all Canadians who are dual nationals. And the only reason they do not apply to Canadians who are only citizens of our country is because we can't make people stateless. The law on treason, terrorism, espionage applies to all of us. And if you're convicted of these crimes, as a few Canadians are, you go to jail for a long time.
So Minister,
I mean, it depends on the nature
I'm
of the
sorry,
conviction.
can we?
Yeah,
take
yeah,
our
the
time?
last
Sorry.
question.
Okay,
The last
question.
Okay, it's not the question is that on behalf of our viewers and listeners and our community, actually you have paved the way for the right people to come into this country in a shorter period of time. In spite of all those rumors, the number of people you are getting every year is higher than what it used to be. So we thank you for the wonderful job, and certainly we will meet you on October the 20th.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the chance to clarify this. We're not only proud of what your channel does and what Sri Lankan Tamil community does. We are proud of the work we've done together in recent years. You know, only a year ago, there was a different government in Colombo. Only a few years ago, there was a great tragedy in the Vani in the north. Canadians, you know, this conservative government are determined to ensure there is accountability for those criminal acts, to ensure that there is reconciliation. And you saw us speak out on all of those issues. And then when it came time for the Commonwealth to meet in Colombo, you saw us leading the way in isolating a government that deserved to be isolated. And now that government is gone. So we're proud of all the work we've done on this. We know there's a lot more to do in the future. But you only get this result on the basis of principled leadership. And that's what Prime Minister Harper has shown in all of our policy in recent years on Sri Lanka. And that is what we were showing also on citizenship, where we are all together in this Canadian boat. We want a successful country, we want prosperity, but we also want to protect ourselves from the threats that are out there. Bill C-24 does that, and it allows us to continue welcoming literally the world as visitors, tourists, students, and immigrants and citizens. And let's continue that work together.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.